Hello, how we doing?
What's
Hey,
up?
what's up, brother? What's up, man?
What's up?
Hey, this is Evan Layton with HTown Happy Hour.
Derek D'Ottolevy, HTown Happy Hour, #1 podcast in the world.
In the world, baby, let them know. And our very special guest for you today,
Thank you, fellas. Khaled Khalaf here. Pleasure to be here.
Yes,
Khaled.
sir.
Very
Thank
nice
you for
to have you
coming.
here.
So, tell us what you do, Khalid. Khalid?
Oh man, where do you want me to start? I got several hats, but I think the biggest one here is with the House of Pies here in Houston.
Yeah.
House of Pies. Okay, now how are you? What is your relationship with House of Pies?
My dad is one of the main co-owners there, and it's a family business. Him and his two brother-in-laws, and it's a family thing. And we got me and my brother and my little cousins, and we're just trying to keep it going and keep it strong.
Yeah. So you have a couple people working with you. You said your cousins are doing this,
and it's only family too.
Really?
Yeah. We kept it in the family for
Now
sure.
is that for like servers and cooks as well?
No.
Okay. I was about to say, man, you said you had a big family,
No.
but wow, bro,
Hey,
good job.
Well, when I was a kid, and my dad had me in there, flipping pancakes at the age of 13.
Wow.
Child labor laws? What child labor
Wow.
laws? Get in the kitchen, buddy.
Hey, so for just, I don't know if it's even possible, but what is House of Pies?
What do you mean?
Just for anybody that doesn't know, what is House of
Oh,
Pies?
anyone that's
I'm
brand new
sorry.
for this.
I'm sorry, guys. I just kind of assumed everybody in Houston knows
Oh,
about
no,
it.
I know, I do.
I said the same thing.
No, but it's funny though, guys, that you mentioned this because when I was a kid, like high school, college, and you would say House of Pies, everybody knew House of Pies.
Yeah.
But Houston has gotten so big, and so
Exactly.
many people have moved in. It is true. Sometimes they say, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a doctor, and then I also, still deal with my family's business, House of Pies." Like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "Damn."
You really
Yeah.
don't know what House of
Yeah,
Pies
that's right.
is? Really?
Honestly.
I'm not gonna lie, Joe. That's the only reason I said it, because Joe, our ones and twos. Shout out Joe.
Shout out
big
to
dog
Joe.
on the mic. Come on, bro.
What's
Shout
House
out
of
to
Pies?
Joe.
I was like, shit. People in Houston don't know what House of Pies
Well,
is.
Houston's got so big,
It
guys.
is.
You know that. You
It
know
is.
that. So, for people that don't know House of Pies, we are a sort of a iconic staple in Houston. We have right now 4 locations functioning, with about to be, hopefully, God willing, 7 in the near future.
Wow.
But the
You said
original
5
2
going on 7?
right
4.
now we got 4, and then God willing going on 7 in the near future.
Yeah.
There's the main 2 that have been here forever since 1967
Wow.
are the ones on
Wow.
Kirby and
Yep.
the ones on Westheimer.
Yep. I've been to the one. I used to live near the one on West Time. I used to go all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, bro.
You used to go at night after the bar.
Yep.
Do you guys know how many people that I've met throughout my life, and they're like, I met my wife there. I met my girlfriend there.
Drunk
'cause,
after hanging out.
everyone's drunk. Everyone's trying to eat, have a good time. It always was a good vibe in that place, and it still is. You know, but it's. That's kind of what made House of Pies, in my opinion, so special, because everyone who grew up in Houston has at least one memory or 2 at House of Pies.
Yeah.
Some sort of nostalgic
Yeah,
memory
for
that
sure.
brings back
For
that,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, once you've been open for so long, that's sort of inevitable. It's a rarity. How many other restaurants do you guys know have been open since 1967?
Yeah.
restaurants these
Can't
days, you try and open a restaurant.
Yeah.
You're all. I don't wish this upon anybody, but you're statistically you're not going to make it past 5 years.
Okay, so
y'all
what?
going 50-60.
So
Yeah.
what about like drive-through businesses? Because I was on the move. I had this idea that I was trying to incorporate, and it's not necessarily like where people come in and sit down, but it's more of like a drive-through on either
for sure,
side.
for sure,
You know
for
what
sure.
I mean? And
What are you selling in it?
so okay, now he picks the one. All right, so Big E's Coffee is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Big E's Coffee is what I want to do. Because the new laws just said we're allowed to do to-go sales of alcohol of up to 375 milliliters, which equates out to what, 12.9 fluid
Yeah,
ounces,
yeah.
also known as a pint.
Yeah.
So nobody's selling boozy coffees,
No,
spiked coffee
and
drinks.
and the CBD fools are trying to take over. You put boozy coffee, man.
Let's
Like,
get some. And also, what better place than in Texas to sell to-go drinks? I mean, they got it in Louisiana, but everyone's like,
But it's funny. I'm surprised though that I know it's legal, man. Look, this to-go margarita stuff or
Yep.
to-go, what do they call it?
Daiquiris and
Daiquiris.
stuff, yep.
I mean, I saw it and in my head I'm like, damn, like that's. are they just supposed to not drink it till they get home? You know, it's kind of weird.
After the transaction is done, whatever they do with it is up to them.
Sure. No, I ain't mad at you. I like it. I mean, it's gonna work, man.
Well, yeah, I hope it will work as well because that's my business plan.
And let me say this here: somebody needs to do something about Starbucks because I don't know how these fools are still like just
killing
on
it.
You want to know
fire.
why? Because I think it's a mixture of lack of competition / their real estate market managers
100%.
They're on every corner.
100%.
Exactly, and that's where I feel like Big E's Coffee can eliminate the competition.
But you guys realize too that nothing stays on top forever. You know, when I was a kid, McDonald's was the greatest thing on earth. Whataburger was nothing when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you had like McDonald's. I'm giving away that I was a chunky kid, I guess.
Welcome to the club, bro. Welcome to the club, man. Me as well, sir.
You know, you had like a McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and then Whataburger was way down there. Sonic, you know, nobody went to Whataburger.
Now let me ask you this: you said you were kind of a chunky kid, right?
Yeah.
Is it because of the pies?
You know,
Is it because of the pies, my friend?
You know, it might be. I don't know. It might be, man. I mean, but actually, no. It's more of a family thing, man.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Gotcha.
you know, when we grew up, you know, my parents, you know, they came here when they were teenagers, but all we do is eat. We get together and eat, and you know, it's like if your kid's not eating, there's
What's
something
the matter
wrong with the
with
kid. You know what I'm saying? They're like force feeding the kid.
Right.
So they used to make me. They used to make me finish the food on my plate.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why, you know, like now I have 3 kids, you know, and I tell my wife, I'm like, you know, if the kid's not hungry, he's not hungry. The kid knows
what he wants.
He knows, you know what I'm saying?
In some aspects, you're 100% right. Like also, like if a kid comes up and is like has weird vibes, like somebody if someone's like, hey, go hug that person, that's your uncle, and they're like, I don't know if I want to yet. It's like you shouldn't force the kids to go do that. They tell them to trust their instincts. You know,
for sure, 100%.
Let me ask you this: talking about you know, your dad and your family and everything. How did he get into the restaurant industry?
That's a great question. That's a great question. So, my dad immigrated when he was a teenager from Palestine with his family, and they actually went to California. And so my dad was very smart. His dream was to be a math professor, PhD.
Wow.
That was his dream.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and at the time, that was, you know, the big aspiration. He loved math. He was very smart in school. But, you know, those times were different back then. You know, he came here, and there was a lot of opportunity. He just started working. You know, working in grocery stores, convenience stores. They had, and then at one point, around the time he got married to my mom, they had a big deli in California. It was called Pumperdinck's. And listen, we moved here when I was 4 years old, and I swear to you, people don't believe me. I remember that deli.
Wow.
I literally have memories of that deli. We moved here when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so what happened to him was interesting too, because back then at delis, speaking of coffee, he used to do a ton of coffee.
Yeah.
People would go to the deli to buy like big bags of coffee.
Yeah.
And he was also doing a ton of like sliced meats, because back then, like the HEBs and the Safeways of the world,
weren't existing yet.
they weren't slicing the meat yet. So you literally went to a real deli to get your lunch meat.
Yeah.
And so then he had a Safeway type thing open up in the same shopping center, and then it really hurt his business after that. And then eventually migrated to Houston, because that's where my mom's family's from. And there was a little more opportunity in Houston at the time, you know, than in California. And so,
as is there now.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let me ask you this real quick. So now you say that sometimes with like the business is like the deli, a bigger bully on the block, if you will, kind of took him out and put him out of business. How has House of Pies been able to stay around above that curve?
Dude, when Cheesecake Factory first opened, I was shitting bricks. I'm not gonna lie. I still remember. I was like, oh man, Cheesecake Factory? Like what the? Because we have a great cheesecake. Our strawberry cheesecake, if you guys never had it, it's the king of our castle. Man.
Okay.
You know, we're House of Pies, but you got to try our strawberry cheesecake.
But that cheesecake is what we're selling, right?
Yeah. And it's like half as much as, you know, I think it's literally half as much as Cheesecake Factory, and tastes just as good, if not better, in my opinion. Yeah. And so like Cheesecake Factory opens, you got other, you know, a lot of different breakfast competition now, a ton. Yeah. You know, see, for us though, we were good because we always had a steady breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night crowd, you know? So it's like we didn't really have this sort of peak where, oh, we're just for brunch or we're just for breakfast. You know, we had kind of had slow and steady throughout the day. That's what kept us so strong and kept us going for so long, you know?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Awesome.
your dad moved here. And then
Dad moved. He actually started in a gas station, and to this day, you know, we still have the gas station, but
Wow.
but not the business, just the property.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where he started. And then my grandfather, on my mom's side, okay, was partners with another gentleman who's also from Palestine, and
Yeah.
they were getting into real estate at that time, and as part of their portfolio, it was the 2 House of Pies.
nice.
Okay, and so the House of Pies on Westheimer initially
Yep.
became for sale because it was run by a older couple that was part of International Industries,
Mm-hmm.
which is the parent company of IHOP,
Yep.
which is the company that started House of Pies. Guys, at one point
Wow.
there was like 50, 60 House of Pies across the country.
Damn.
Yeah, there was a
Damn.
ton. There was a ton, and then
That's huge.
you know, it was just like a small portion of that company's portfolio. You know,
Yeah.
there's big companies. They, you know, oh, we're just going to do. They also owned something called Orange Julius. You guys ever heard of that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure
100%.
yeah. That was part of International Industries too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they were in the malls forever.
Yeah, yeah. And there's another one I think called Copper Penny. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that one. Yeah, yeah. It's just old school stuff because they don't exist
I
anymore.
remember the Orange Julius was a big thing back in the day,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
You know, you go to the mall, it's like, I want the, you know, the orange mango slusherama, you know, yeah. I remember it.
Yeah. Someone made an article once about House of Pies. It's really cool. It was called The Fall and Rise of House of Pies, as opposed to the you know, rise and fall. No, this one was
Wow,
the fall
interesting.
and rise,
Yeah.
as opposed to the rise and fall.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
So what did it talk about in that?
Well, it just kind of said, you know, how it was just weird how, you know, they all came out at once, and then a lot of them went under. I mean, most of them went under, and then the few remaining survivors, you know, in Houston. And the guy that we bought the corporation from, he used to work for International Industries.
Damn.
So he was like the saving grace. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just weird how history plays
It's so
out.
wild how there's how different key components along your journey
100%.
matter
Yeah.
moving forward through the
Yeah,
journey.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a
It's-
wild story.
Yeah, for sure. It's nuts, man.
Mm-hmm.
History is a beautiful thing.
So then within being at House of Pies, I think I heard you say something about being a doctor also.
Yeah,
were you just
man.
like,
Yeah,
hey, this business is doing so well, I'm gonna get my doctorate.
No. So you know, when I was a kid, okay, and I think we're all about the same age. You know, when you were a kid, a lot of kids wanted to be doctors, right? Because
Yeah.
back then, which is not the same right now, by the way. You know, my understanding is trying to get into dental school is harder than medical school right now, and I understand why. You know, reimbursement at an all-time low, overhead at an all-time high. You know, doctors are getting squeezed
Shafted
right now, big time. And most people don't even. I think people are starting to catch on to that, but at the time, you know, being a doctor. 'Cause think about it. Back in the 70s and 80s, it didn't even matter what kind of doctor you were. You could be a family medicine, OB-GYN. It didn't matter. You just
say doctor,
You were just
everyone's-
Oh, this doctor. Sorry.
Much
Oh,
respect.
doctor. Now it's like, oh, you're a doctor. What, you PhD? What the hell are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you could.
They start pulling your card and seeing if you're really about it.
So, you know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle, okay, who's also involved in the House of Pies, remember I said it was my dad and his brother-in-laws, he's the one that kind of paved that path for me and a lot of others in my family. We have a group, we have the largest private practice group in Houston, cardiology, called Vital Heart and Vein. And there's like 21 cardiologists with us, and like 5 or 6 are family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
you know, it's awesome. You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
I get to see my family, or to see my cousins, hang out with them. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's nice.
No, that's super cool. I mean,
Yeah.
both the businesses you're kind of discussing now too. They both have that common bond between them. Family.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
for sure.
amazing.
Yeah, and we have like I was telling you guys before we started, I have a giant family.
Huge. I was about to mention that.
I have thousands of cousins.
Yeah.
Even in Houston.
That's
I mean,
cool, though.
across the U.S., but thousands. You know. So what happened is when they started migrating here, you know, they picked different pockets. Houston, Chicago, San Francisco, and Jacksonville are like the biggest communities. And, you know, everyone kind of stuck together.
Yeah.
That's where my parents met. My parents met at a convention, right? So every year, the Federation has a convention.
Yeah.
And we take up 1, sometimes 2 hotels completely booked.
Damn.
And so, you know, one time I think we were in the Guinness Book of World Records for largest family reunion, because it truly is. It truly is a family reunion.
That's crazy.
That's a family function.
Yeah.
That's a real family function. You think you have your aunts and nephews and nieces at a house? It's like, no, we coming in 1,000 deep. Do something.
Well, that's what we used to do when we were kids, and we would go out here, man.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like, who's gonna stop you? You know what I mean?
We would roll deep. I'm talking deep, you know.
Yeah.
There'd be like 50 of us. I'm not even joking, guys. I mean, it was fun because we all grew up here. We would go out, and then you'd see, hey, what you do? You would just run into people, you know. And it's kind of like that now. Houston's great. I like Houston right now. I mean, I've always liked Houston. I mean, I love Houston. I can't leave Houston. Let's put it that way. I'm stuck here.
Right.
You said there's imaginary jail frames everywhere around
here.
No,
I'm stuck here, you know. But you. It's actually, as big as Houston is, it's still small.
Still small
you know,
town.
small
It's
cliques.
crazy,
You go out, you see people, you know people.
Yep.
It's pretty cool, man.
It creates a whole community of people that are doing stuff, and the more you're doing stuff here in the city, the more you start to rub elbows with other people who maybe have been doing this for some time, but it's like this needed to happen as we're elevating.
I was giving this guy a tour the other day of Post, and his name is Mark Hamzat. And I was touring him Post and everything, and
that sounds familiar.
And towards the end, I was telling him about like the influencer tour I did and stuff, and he was like, "No, man, you were telling me about this the other day." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Wait, you're like with like,
Mark."
He was like, "You're with your HTown Happy Hour." He was like, "I was talking to you the other day about this." I was like, "Nah, I don't remember this." I was like, "I bet maybe you're talking to Evan." He was like, "It was Evan, HTown Happy Hour."
Small world, boys.
Small fucking world. He's like big in like corporate financing and all this different stuff. He was looking to have an event at one of our venues.
That's why I was like, Mark Hobbs, it sounds familiar. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He's literally telling me, "No, I was having this conversation with you the other day." I was like,
no, you know what? With that, I was supposed to link up with them, and man, I've been moving over the past couple weeks.
Well, you owe him a call. I told him I'd tell you, so this is me telling
Mark, if you're watching, hey, I'm sorry I didn't get at you, brother. It was wild, but yeah, no. Mark.
That just goes to show you how small it is too. Though.
There you go.
Small, super small.
Apparently they're like they're. Yeah, I need to call him. For sure. Yeah.
So, all right. To kind of, it's an interesting dynamic. Like, I don't think most of the people we've talked to, they've kind of started their companies from scratch. I mean, how is the dynamic of kind of like coming into a family-owned business? Kind of discuss that.
Well, okay. So for a guy like me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm an interventional and structural cardiologist.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay. So like what I was saying, when I was a kid, to aspire to be a doctor, it's kind of what everyone did, and thank God, and things kind of moved. I was actually supposed to play football for Rice, by the way.
Oh wow! What position?
Well, I played tackle. I was first team All-State as a sophomore.
Really?
You're
a big dude too.
I was coaching football in Pearland for a couple years. Yeah, I did that. I had a good time doing football.
I went to Eisenhower High School for 1 year. Played with the big boys. Eisenhower's 5A, 6A school, and it was fun. But I grew up in private school my whole life, and so we went to Eisenhower, and then I just felt like I needed to move on, so I went to Houston Christian High School, a smaller private school ball, because that's where I was maybe gonna go, and then we played there, it was good, and then I was supposed to go to Rice, guys. I mean, literally the guys were. I still have a box at my house of handwritten letters.
Wow.
From every school you can imagine.
Wow.
Like, hey, come visit, come visit. I didn't go. Because I never wanted to leave Houston. That's the other thing too about us, is that the way we grew up, it was a little sheltered in a way, which is not a bad thing. But it's like the idea of me leaving Houston did not exist.
Well, and then also I think about it like this: tell me where you're gonna go, bud.
Yeah,
where are you gonna go?
Yeah,
you're gonna go to
California.
You're gonna go to California. You're gonna go to Wyoming. You're gonna go to New Hampshire or something. I mean, it's like, why would you want to leave? What better? I thank God we're here right now in Texas, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
Houston specifically is just like, man, right by the coast. It's like, third coast is the best coast.
We have everything you need in Houston. I mean, that's why everyone, a lot of people move in here, as you guys know.
Yep.
So I was supposed to play for Rice, and I'll never forget this. Private school ball, you had to like drive out far to play people. We would play like these random people in the country. So I was warming up outside of it was like a barn. I swear to God, guys, it looked like a barn. And the guy,
I've been to some of those small schools
because I can still remember this in my head like it happened yesterday. Yeah. And the guy from Rice that was calling me every week, he shows up there with his son, And back then, the scouts, they were not allowed to tell you they were coming.
Yeah.
So, he comes by, he sees me warming up, and he's like, hey, and I have never been so pumped to play a game in my life. You know what I'm saying? I was good, but I also, you kind of need that little spark every once in a while to get like mean.
Super fired up to let that beast out of the cage. Yeah.
And so the second play of the game, some dude cuts me and pops my bursa sac. The next day, my ankle was like an elephant.
Ooh.
And so I missed 5 games my senior year.
Damn.
And so, I'm not saying that's the whole reason why Rice passed on me, but it was one of the main reasons. But everything worked out, because if I went to Rice and played ball, I don't think I would end up being a doctor. Who knows what would have happened? You know what I'm saying?
And that's another thing I was going to even mention. I mean, like having your, becoming a doctor mixed in with the line of family business. Some doctors don't know how to do business. So talk about that being a combination in y'all's world of how you also help House of Pies succeed, knowing the business and doctorate side.
It was in my blood. My dad would take me to work with him.
Nice.
I didn't have like a normal summer. Like a normal summer like my friends. It's summertime.
Pops is like, do the dishes.
No, we're going to work.
Right,
I had a time card. He paid me minimum wage. He kind of instilled that sort of work ethic in you at a young age. That's very important that the kids. My kids don't have that.
Yeah, right.
And you can be honest about it.
You're like, these days don't have that.
I can't even get them off the damn iPad and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
But Pops, Fortnite, man.
Oh man. You know how many V-Bucks I've wasted on these kids, man?
God.
Do you have any? No, I cut them off. I cut them off. We're not doing that anymore. Now they haven't had this. Like, I think I gave them someone his birthday or something. I'm not doing this.
I had a kid on the defense who was. The kids were like, "Hey, let me block you, and I'll transfer you my V-Bucks." And he was like, "All right." So we had some issues when coaching football over V-Bucks.
Yeah, man, I believe it. I believe it.
Kids sabotaging their own team for V-Bucks.
I believe it.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is, man. It is.
I played a lot. I played a lot of video games too. My father was in the military, so like, for me, it was like half the year on, half the year off, and I'm glad because like. When my dad was out of town, I didn't have that work ethic. I slacked. I played video games, and then when Dad would come in town, all right, I got to be best behavior, play, do chores, do everything, and so I can only imagine if I didn't have that half of while my dad was there, because like now, I work my ass off. I work my ass off, and so like
I can contest that's true.
You have to hustle.
That is
guys.
true.
You have to hustle. I mean, the term hustle has a negative connotation to it, and it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Hustle just means you're driven, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, besides even House of Pies and Doctors, I got my hands in a lot of pots. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to better myself, better my family.
There's a couple different recipes that you have going on.
When opportunities present themselves, you got to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
There's so many people that just let opportunity go by.
No, you can't.
Which is why I'm so pumped up for Big E's coffee.
Yeah.
because right now it's not only is it creative, it's on the wave of a brand new law.
For sure.
And in Texas, who doesn't love a good drink?
That's right.
I mean, let's be real. Everybody likes a good drink. Big
it.
E's coffee
For
does
sure.
that for you. Because who's all right. I can get into selling it, but who else is cornerstoning alcohol at 7 a.m. but in coffee? The coffee.
Nobody, man.
Dude, I know.
I'm not mad at it.
Dude, it might be risky, but so is anything that hits huge.
You have to take risk in order. You have to, what was that one thing where you say that's what's the dude's name from Family Feud? The host of Family Feud.
Steve Harvey?
Steve Harvey. He has this famous sort of, it's all over the internet about where you have to jump. You know what I'm saying? You have to jump.
Yep.
If you don't jump, you're just going to stay on the ledge, man.
That leap of faith.
Exactly.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
let's talk about your leap of faith.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever moving in towards, at what time did you start getting into a higher role in House of Pies? And what time were you like, no, you know what? I'm going to do both and get both sides of this.
Okay, so in medical school, I did take a nice hiatus from House of Pies because med school's no joke, guys. Do y'all understand? Do you guys know what med school is?
It's hours and hours.
It's actually torture.
Yeah.
It's a form of torture. That's what I tell people, and they say, "Oh, he's just being extreme." I mean, and I do use extreme terminology to describe things, but but it's true. They fill your brain with so much unnecessary information. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is not just med school. This is the education system as a whole.
You know how furious I am with the BCIS class right now? Because I even talked to the teacher. I was like, this is kind of redundant information.
No.
She's like, oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you serving it to us?
Yeah, the way we educate our kids and our professionals here is wrong. I don't know how to change it. It's just a giant weed out process. You get that, right?
It is. It really is.
It's just a big weed out
Who
process.
can finish?
And so okay, you get into med school. Great. Okay, now what? Well, I want to be a cardiologist. Okay, then I have to go to internal medicine residency. Okay, at the time it wasn't that competitive. Now it's becoming more competitive, internal medicine. And then to get into cardiology is very competitive. You know, cardiologist is still a very, high value, esteemed type of position in the medical community. And then you do that, and then guess what? Now you want to be a plumber, right?
Yeah.
So now I have to go to interventional cardiology. So you just keep, sort of climbing these hurdles, and so your whole life you're just fighting, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
You're fighting for trying to get to that next level, man.
Yeah.
So in that drive, like I said, I owe it all to my dad, to be honest. He's the one that kind of instilled that in me at a young age.
How many years outside of high school were you in?
I think it's a total of 11 years of training.
Holy shit.
After college, if I did that right. Yes. It's 4, 7 plus 4. 11 years of school, guys, with no income, by the way. I mean, the income's a joke.
Yeah.
When you're an intern and resident and all that
Absolutely.
stuff. 11 years after college.
So
Before I was like,
15 years,
making a
basically.
decent paycheck.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
But
nuts.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things that it's like, be patient, persevere.
for sure.
It'll pay off.
Yeah, but then you end up, 38 years old, man.
Talk about, man, when's this going to start hitting?
For sure.
Yeah. Crazy.
Man, so, I guess, you brought this box with you. I remember you were saying something about doing shipping type stuff. What kind of plans do you have for the future?
So to ship, right, is something that we always had planned at the House of Pies.
Okay.
I mean, it was always like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. I mean, and this was like me and my cousin Chuck but before he opened his franchises, Chuck was working, with us at Kirby for almost 10 years. So he learned the business in and out before he started opening up franchises, and so. And I was involved, but again, like I said, in med school, I kind of took a break from the pies. But then after I started to get more time, I was like, no, I got to get back. I got to get back in this. You know what I'm saying? This is my, because my dad, he's older. He's trying to phase himself out, and so someone has to take over. So, the shipping was something we were always going to do. Thank God for Craig Sigurdsson. Shout out to Craig, Craig has been our manager. He's been working there since he was a teenager.
Yeah.
I think he started
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah, as a teen. He's been with us forever.
Yeah.
He's a lifer almost.
And Craig, he runs Westheimer completely. And we
That's
have
my
all
favorite
the
one.
faith in him. You know what I'm saying? He does a fantastic job. And he was he was getting into tech at the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like websites and stuff.
Yeah.
And he picked up the domain houseofpies.com. If not, I'd have to anybody can
Anybody can pick
okay,
any
like for
domain up.
example, right? There's one House of Pies left in LA.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they on Twitter or one of the social media platforms, because I do all the social media, by the way.
Nice.
I want to dive into that more too.
I do all, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
I've become like a pie dealer. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like on the holidays, everyone hits me up. Oh, I need 1,000 pies here, 500 pies here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's cool, but it's like, shit, man, I just did it. I just fixed this guy's leg or fixed this guy's heart, and I just scrub out of the case, check my phone for a second. They're like, hey, we need pies next week. And I'm
The
serious.
strawberry
guys.
cheesecake is to die for. I know you're
Yeah.
doing surgery to save you guys' life, but we have a Thanksgiving coming up.
And that's the other thing too, right? Everyone likes to poke fun at it, which is fun. It's fine to poke fun at it. Like, oh, you got a monopoly, man. You feeding people bad food, and then you fix it. But it's like, well, someone's got to
That's good
serve.
humor.
But listen, that's why. And to be honest, I don't encourage people to eat dessert every day. I
Right.
don't. Honestly, I
Everything-
don't.
Everything in moderation.
No, you should see, when I talk to, and I struggle with my diet too, you know what I'm saying? But my patients,
buddy.
my patients, we talk about diet all the time. I tell them, you got to try to avoid this, try to avoid that, try to do this. But if you, take a little, we call slice of heaven on earth as our motto.
It
You
says
could,
it right
yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, you
That's nice.
That's nice. And I got you guys shirts and hats
That's
too.
cool,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? Yeah,
I got to support that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can indulge every once in a while, man. It's not a big deal.
Well, I think that's the thing. We can't can't be tyrants to ourselves. But
sure.
but along with that discipline of, you know, denying yourself here and here, the times whenever you do indulge, it makes it so much more worth it.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Like
sure.
whenever, because I mean, I threw my television away in the trash a long time ago. When I was like 23.
Yeah.
Whenever I come to watch a movie or a show with some friends or a football game,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm enjoying this football game
Yeah.
at a much better level than if it was
100%.
the Drew Brees gotta hit a quarterback if I don't, you know, with fantasy points. I just don't do that.
If you avoid sweets, right, and you avoid desserts, and then you're eating clean, and you get a slice of Bayou Goo, it's heaven, man. It really is. You know, so you're absolutely right. For sure.
When you're like, oh,
yeah, I've been
like
saying,
your
and I say that all
mouth
the time.
twitches.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just everything in moderation, guys. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Everything in moderation.
everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
For sure. So.
Food, desserts, alcohol.
I was gonna say, I know
anything.
I've abused a couple cheeseburgers before, you know, once or twice, man.
I want to kind of unpackage that a little bit though, like, because I think that's a very interesting topic you mentioned. So your dad started House of Pies and everything, and one of the big components you kind of helped out on is, you said, like, social media, right?
Yeah. So you guys have to understand this. I'm 38 years old.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, the internet did not exist.
Right.
I mean, but the kids these days, the 20-year-olds and teenagers, they can't fathom what life was like before the
Yeah,
internet. Because
I know.
imagine right now if somebody turned the internet off.
Yeah.
The world would
Pandemonium.
blow.
I mean, pandemonium,
Yeah.
guys.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Hey, remember Y2K for the millennium, and they
Yeah,
thought everything was good. Remember that?
All the computers are gonna
Remember?
make them. I was even just about to say, kids that were born in 2000
Yeah.
are now 21
Yeah, it's crazy.
this year.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I
This
heard
year.
I heard a kid say, like, oh, you were born in the 1900s the other
Oh,
day.
no.
I was like, fuck
I
yeah.
had somebody the other day.
You were born in the 1900s? I'm like, you're a little shit.
I had somebody in school the other day have the audacity to call me a geezer.
He's taking college
That's a
class.
compliment.
I'm back in school right now for business management.
Nice,
and
nice.
I'm just talking, you know, doing my little thing in class, and as we're leaving, they're like, "What do you say about that, geezer?"
Yeah,
and I was just like, "Dude, man,
'cause-
I used to run this school. I used to man, I knew everyone."
That's
you know?
awesome. That's awesome. Man. So, you know, the internet wasn't around. Cell phones weren't around.
Right.
We were nowhere nearly as connected as we are now, right?
Right.
I mean, if it wasn't for social media, Instagram, like I said, you know, we wouldn't be sitting here, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and I liked it. You know, AOL was really big when I was a kid.
Instant
You know what I'm saying?
Messenger.
Yeah. AOL. I mean,
Yeah.
AOL to me was like the godfather of the internet.
That's how
you
my
know what
mom
I'm
met my
saying?
stepdad. Was in an AOL chat room.
Yeah, for
AIM,
sure.
AIM was
For
the first
sure.
like version of texting.
Yeah.
Like,
And that also goes back to the concept I was telling you guys earlier about how things don't stay on top, right?
Right.
Yes.
You know, like we talked about McDonald's now,
Yeah.
you know, nobody goes, you know, it's like
Right.
same concept. AOL used to be the king of the internet.
Yep.
And I still have my email, by the way, the original AOL email. I still have it.
Damn.
Yeah, I stayed with the shit, man. That's my
Yeah.
email. I don't want to change
Listen,
it.
I'm not changing. I'm not changing nothing
For
for
sure.
y'all.
No, hell no. Hell, it's so much damn spam in there, though. You wouldn't
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah,
you
I know. 10,000
Imagine-
unread emails.
and then speaking of that too, I got a funny quick story for you guys. When I was like 16 years old, I went to Toys R Us one time, and I went and purchased something, and she asked me for my phone number when I checked out, and I said no. And she's like, well, I need your phone number. And I was like, she's like, I need your phone number. I was like, wait, this is before they did that.
Oh, okay.
I was 16 years old. This is
Okay.
22 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Like, why do you want my cell phone? Like,
Right.
I'm buying I don't even know what I was buying a toy or something. I don't know. Buy a toy at 16. I don't know why I was at Toys
I
R
was
Us.
here doing the
I was doing
transaction.
something, man.
Right.
Maybe I was buying Street Fighter back then. You know, talking about games. You know, I was a big gamer
I used
too.
to get all the WWE action figures.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And she couldn't understand it. We get in a fight. She actually had to call the manager. The manager's like, well, okay, like she didn't know what to do. And so look what happens now. Look at your cell phone now.
Yeah.
You get blown up all
Yep.
day
Yep.
of spam and all this and that. And you just see how annoying it is, man. you
It
know?
is.
So in a way, there's no privacy left anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
it's all right. But yeah, so internet comes out, cell phones come out, social media comes out. Facebook was the big one. When Facebook first came out, you know, it was just for your college campus.
Yep.
You know, and I went to the University of St. Thomas, and so it was like, all right, cool, you know, we'll get on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And then it actually took some time before I created the account for the store.
Well, a lot of businesses didn't right off bat.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. I think I was early enough to where, you know, I could secure the names and stuff
Yeah.
like that, especially on Facebook, and then I think Twitter, and then I held off on Instagram for so long, guys.
So did we.
You
So
would
did we.
not believe.
So did we.
And I had a lot of friends. My friend from New York, shout out to Marlon. Shout out to Marlon. He was always telling me, "Oh, you gotta get on Instagram."
Yeah.
I was like, man, bro, I got Facebook. Snapchat.
I ain't never leaving MySpace. I'm never gonna leave MySpace.
It was like, no, man. He goes for the House of Pies, man. He was like, for the House of Pies.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, and I'm busy. You know, I'm really busy.
Yep.
So to already deal with all the Facebook and Twitter stuff for the House of Pies, I'm busy. I'm literally a full-time.
Slammed.
And mind you guys, I'm a very busy interventional cardiologist too. I mean, I have a ton of patients. I do a ton of procedures. I mean, my day is jam-packed.
So
guys.
we definitely appreciate your time being here. Man. I know your time is very valuable, so we appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you guys having me.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
And so then finally we did the Instagram and stuff like that, and and then just God knows how many more they're gonna come out with.
Yep.
Like, a lot of TikTok, right? Now we got TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have 30 billion views on your thing, you're not at nothing.
I don't want it to keep growing,
Right.
because every time a new platform comes out, you got to worry
I have
about.
to do that one too now.
You gotta build a whole new following, a whole new world.
Don't
for
feel
sure.
bad though, because we held off. Like we started on Facebook, and we kind of got a lot of traction on Facebook and stuff with HTown Happy Hour. And then we had made the Instagram and stuff, but we weren't really active.